Alright guys, so in today's video we're going to be going over the tier list for the best classes for each race. So we do have every single race here, and instead of S to F we have each class. So the first class I'm going to be starting off with is a class called Ghoul. Now the best class that I think for Ghoul is the Striker class. Now the reason why I think Striker is the best for Ghoul, it's pretty much because ghouls are best in dealing a lot of sustained damage and pretty much just surviving. So pretty much survival, and Striker's abilities with the bleeding effect and ghouls high damage output. So the reason I picked the Ghoul for Striker is pretty much just because ghouls are really good at surviving through a lot of hard fights. So when you pair that up together with Striker's pretty much a melee and the ability to apply a lot of pressure, when you combine the two of them together, it's actually a really good class setup. So that's why I believe that Strike is the best class to go with the Ghoul race. So that's pretty much it for Ghoul. Now the best class I think for amphibu, I'm pretty sure that's called amphibu, is the Archer class. Now the reason why I think that is because amphibu is a very versatile and mobile race. So Archer really requires you to have really good positioning to ensure that you have a lot of distance between your enemy and to also easily deliver attacks without taking any damage yourself. So Amphibu has a lot of natural buffs, which is pretty much just like race buffs that you have. This allows you to pretty much, if you're an Archer class, to pretty much just stay away, deal damage, stay away, things like that. Just to dodge, stay safe, and just pretty much kill people while staying in a safe environment. So the next class that we're going to be doing is the Luren. The next race, is Luren. So the best class I think is the Thief class. Now the reason why I think this is because Lurens also have a natural buff like Amphibus, but they have increased movement speed and jump height. So this pretty much just allows them to be a lot faster than other people. And when you pair it up with a class like Thief, where it's pretty much like stealth and you're pretty much like evading a lot of attacks, you'll have a lot of movement speed to evade attacks, you're going to be super fast, so you'll be able to run up on people really easily and run away from people too. So when you put the two of them together, it's a really good playstyle. As long as you're Luren with the Thief class, I'm pretty sure it's the best class. Now the next one I'm going over is the chyroputin class race. So I'm going to be putting that in Striker. Now the reason I picked Striker is because the race is pretty much like a really fast, a really high damage output race. So this is pretty much really good for the Striker class. The Striker class is pretty much like quick melee strikes, boom, hit them, run off, crowd control, make sure you keep them stunned, blah blah blah. So when you pair the high mobility of chyroputin and the damage boost that you get, it's a pretty good class setup that you can use. And the next race we're going to be going over is the half golem race. So this race, I'm pretty certain the best class for it is the warrior race. Now the reason why is because they have a passive called the stone body passive. Now this pretty much allows them to have insane high damage reduction, and you will have resistance to a lot of debuffs. Now the reason why, because the warrior class, you'll pretty much just be a frontline. You're going to be doing consistent melee damage whilst having a lot of natural tankiness just from your race. Now this is pretty good to have like long combat, absorb damage, and pretty much just deal a bunch of damage using the warrior class too. So that's pretty much why I think the warrior class pairs up the best with the half golem class. And the next class we're going to be going over is the elf race. So the reason why I think the elf race goes well with, so the best class that I think for elf is the magician race. Now the reason why is because elves have really good mana affinity and cooldown reduction. Now this pretty much allows them to be really good and pretty much specialized for the magician class. You have a lot of racial boosts that pretty much just make your class a lot better. That's why the synergy is really good between those two classes. That class and race. So yeah, It's just the passives that pretty much make it really good to be a magician. Now the next race we're going to be going over is a race called Slime. So the race that I think is the best is the warrior class for Slime. Now the reason why I think this is because you have a lot of immunity to a lot of status effects and quite a lot of damage types too, which makes you super tanky. So you being super tanky pretty much allows you to basically be in the front line doing a lot of damage and pretty much just tanking a lot of damage too. So that's pretty much why I think the best class for Slime is warrior. And we're gonna pretty much just, and the best two classes for human and orc are pretty much just warrior. Now the reason why human is pretty good with warrior, because humans have a lot of balanced stats, so their stats are pretty much balanced across the board, which pretty much allows them to pretty much go any class they want. But the best class I think is warrior. Now the reason why is you're pretty much like an all-rounder. You're not too strong in one different area. You're pretty much just an all-rounder. You do the same damage. You might do less damage than other races, but I do think warrior is the best race for human. Best class for human. And the reason why I think warrior is the best for orc is because orcs have a lot of health regeneration and a lot of strength. So they pretty much just get that from their race, which pretty much allows them to pretty much be like a natural fit for the warrior class. So it has a lot of synergy with the warrior class, which I think is really good. You also have a lot of stamina. You maintain a lot of frontline damage, a lot of pressure on the front, and this pretty much allows like this pretty much allows you to tank a lot of damage, whilst people in the back just do a lot of damage, and you pretty much just take damage and deal damage. Now the best race for bunny is actually the thief class. Now the reason why I think the best class for bunny is the thief class is because you have a lot of speed when you're a bunny. Now it's pretty much the same thing as about a Luren, but it's pretty much just better, considering you are a lot faster, and you will also be able to have perfect synergy with your class, considering you have to go in and out, in and out, in and out, and just to make sure you have a lot of mobility, you're dashing a lot, you're dodging a lot of attacks, and you're able to sneak on people. And for Doahan, I'm going to be going with warrior. Now the reason I'm going with warrior is because they have a lot of tankiness. This pretty much allows them to be basically your ideal front line. So you pretty much just want them at the front, considering they have a lot of durability. You can absorb damage, and you can pretty much do steady damage to people. You can tank a lot of damage, and you can pretty much hold back a lot of people and keep your carry safe. And for the last one, infernum, we're going to be going with magician. Now the reason why I'm going with magician is because you already have base fire damage that is really good, and you also have the ability to climb walls. The reason why that is really good is because you have a lot of mobility. Now magician is pretty much, you don't really want to be in the front, and if you get caught, you know, you might be dead. So pairing that up with magician's playstyle and also the racial buffs that you get from infernum, it's pretty much just stay back, do a lot of burst damage, and that's pretty much it. The only thing you have to be worried of pretty much is just holy damage, because you do take a bit more damage from any like holy effects. So the next thing I'm going to be going with is the Seraphim class. So the same thing, I think the Seraphim class, the best class for Seraphim is magician. Now the reason why I think that is pretty much the same thing. You have a lot of mana, you have a lot of magic affinity like the infernum, and you also have a lot of healing synergy too with Seraphim, which pretty much just allows you to stay alive during long fights, have high HP, and pretty much just don't die. That's why I think Seraphim is the best race for magician. And to finally end it off, we have the vampire. So vampire, for me, I think vampire is striker. So the reason why I think striker is because vampires heal off bleeding enemies, and we do make people bleed using striker class, which is really good. So pretty much it's just as you do damage, take damage, you're going to be healing because you're making people bleed, and you're pretty much also going to be able to just sustain during fights, deal damage, and pretty much just out-sustain your opponent. Pretty much that's it. And the only weakness that you have as a vampire is pretty much you just have to be careful of holy damage. That's the only thing you have to be careful of, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I would just like to remind you guys that this is all opinion based. I might not be right, some people might know better. Of course, this is what I think is the best, and I have tested everything out, and I think these are the best classes for each race.